Anyway, Republicans boycott Bud Light. Go woke, go broke. Also, Republicans, AB stock value dropped and I lost money. Investigate this right now. This says less about his awkwardness and way more about the people of Florida who elected him. Respectfully, they're freaks. To be fair, he almost didn't win the election the first time around, so. My producers dragged me to see Barbie, and it's one of the most woke movies I've ever seen. My full review of this flaming garbage heap of a film will be out on my YouTube channel tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Yeah. That's awesome. What did he bring fucking notes to the movie theater? What a nerd, dude. What a gigantic fucking loser. Oh my God. He was just sitting there taking notes, shaking his head violently. Like, this is uncouth. I do not like this. Content coming Tuesday. You know he fucking drove them to see it. I mean, this is, I don't even know if this is content, honestly. Like, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is just such a freak that I don't really talk about him too much. I don't even know how to, like, I don't even know where to begin. He's also one of those guys. Here's one thing I fucking hate. Okay? When you're a con man or a weirdo that is like an anti-vaxxer or whatever, I can't stand when you're just like, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm simply asking questions. It's like, dude, I'm so fatigued. I'm so tired of like talking about anti-vaxxers. I just don't care. If you want to fucking die, go die. I just don't give a shit. Okay? I don't care. Just don't take the vaccine. I don't want you to take the vaccine. I hope you don't take the vaccine. I hope you tell others not to take the vaccine. I'm so done. I'm so fucking done. I don't care. Just fucking perish. I don't give a shit. Just die. Tell others to die as well. I don't give a fuck. Natural selection. It's just like, it's so frustrating. I hate that. I just can't fucking stand it, dude. It is so smarmy, so fucking annoying. It's just like, it's just such loser shit where they're just like, yeah, we have to debate you. We have to debate. It's like, stop. No, I don't care. Fuck it, dude. Problem is they use a hospital bed. I don't care. Fucking, I don't care. I just don't. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it. If you put RFK more than 5 minutes, I can promise I will stay through his VHS tape voice. Yeah, especially awful because RFK's voice is also so grating. You know what I mean? Oh. So no RFK interview coming? Maybe. I don't know. I feel like he's got so many like alternative facts that he could just like drop on a dime that I would need to have some kind of I would need to have some kind of counter. What's up? Oh yeah. Yeah, no, come join. You wrote a new article. Come talk about it and then okay. Marianne Williamson sat in this exact seat yesterday, you know? This is big.
This is huge. Hi, Kaya. You have to stay calm. Hi, everyone.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Press is in the building. Well, I mean, she's always in the building, but I'm always like, she's always passing by because she's like nonstop doing shit when she's out here. And I'm always like, hey, you want to come on? She's like, no. Fuck no. Fuck you, you fucking piece of shit. Get the fuck out of here. You know, I'm too busy doing real work and not fake ass work. And here is some of your real work on Jacobin.
Have you always pronounced it Jacobin?
Yeah, wait, how are you supposed to pronounce it?
Jacobin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess I've been wrong.
I didn't realize this, but someone
Oh,
pointed it out after I talked to you.
My bad.
Well, now I can correct for
Again,
the future.
you come over here and you fucking correct me in front of my audience every goddamn time. Get out of here. What the fuck is this bullshit?
I'm just helping you, you know?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. 34MKD50. Thank you for the 50 get the subs. People still fucking, all these lame asses that don't know shit about unions, people still make fun of me. Be like, union boss. Oh, I remember when you said that. Fuck you.
They love you, Hassan, obviously.
Yeah, no, they're fucking
Obviously.
assholes. Fuck those guys. Hollywood is on strike against high-tech exploitation by Alex Press. That's
me.
you.
That's me.
Oh my God. You wrote this.
I just wrote this, and I wrote it in Hassan's house.
There you go.
It was huge pressure to prove to you that I was not actually just hanging out. So I feel like I really
Yeah,
have
I was like,
accomplished
what's
it.
going on? What are you doing? You're just like,
It's almost 5,000 words long. It's a real magnum opus, so I must warn everyone in the chat. It takes a while to read, but that's also just proof that I really did have to be here all week.
yeah.
So
you wrote this for 5,000. You wrote 5,000 words to prove to Jacobin. Jacobin.
you know, pronounce it however you want, Hassan. It's your
Jacobin.
house. It's my
Okay.
publication, but you can
Yeah.
do what you please with it.
You did this so you could prove to them like, no, I'm not just like pooling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though I gotta say, I think it's good because I wrote some of it by the pool. I feel like that is actually
The energy
good
was
for work.
captured.
The energy was captured. Yeah, I feel like I could make this work. The L.A. office of Jacobin.
Yeah. As both writers and actors on the picket lines in Hollywood, the stakes couldn't be higher. Will average entertainment workers be able to eke out a living in an industry awash in cash? Wait, is that Austin?
It is me.
Oh my God, did you just pull up?
I did.
Oh no, we just started
Hey,
like
what's up?
very
How's it going?
news dense portion.
Oh, really? You told me to pull up whenever.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize Alex was gonna come in
I
and
can go shopping.
promote her article. No, you can.
I mean, I'm not really great on news.
Yeah, this is also about the SAG. Well, you can talk about Grinder.
Oh yeah.
You can talk about Grinder
I'm
unionizing.
Austin, by the way.
Hey.
Nice to meet
Yeah.
you.
Nice to meet you too.
Sorry to interrupt the segment here.
No, that's
Yeah.
okay. I don't care.
Very unorganized.
Austin is my liberal correspondent. I actually wanted him to be here so he could fact check your
I was just
article.
phone-
Oh, I see.
I
I
was
see.
phone banking for Biden in Texas. So
Yeah,
Okay.
turn that
He's-
state blue.
he's gonna come in here and give you multiple
I'll
Pinocchios.
come in for a second and then I'll dip out and I'll come back later.
Well, this is great. Yeah, maybe he could go shopping instead.
Yeah, he can also talk about the Grinder employees unionizing as well.
I can go shopping.
He's very he loves talking about bottoms unionizing.
Absolutely. I'm pro bottom.
He's a selfish top. He's lying. Okay. All right. Will the average entertainment workers be able to eke out a living in an industry of washing cash, or will studio executives use new tech like AI to gobble up all of it?
That's the question, Hassan.
That is the good question. I
It's
think.
on the lips of everybody across this town.
So what are some of the best parts that you would want me to
I think
cover? Because it's 5,000 words.
I know. Well, you can. The lead here is I talked to this woman. I don't know if you want to read parts of it or something,
Yeah.
but yeah. Why don't you start? You read the first.
Los
two
Angeles.
drafts.
Before she appeared on HBO's White House Plumbers and Fox's New Girl, Stevie Nelson hosted a television show on Nickelodeon. Oh, I know one of the. Kiernan Shipka from. She was also on Plumbers.
you go.
Anyway, Stevie Nelson hosted a television show on Nickelodeon on Crashleets.
Crash Leads.
Crashleets.
It's a sort of like silly viral video show about like sports
Okay.
bloopers.
Okay.
Here,
on
I'll
Crashleets.
interrupt you to get to her quote.
What?
So she hosted the show on Nickelodeon a few years ago.
Wow.
3 seasons. I'll let you read other parts. Don't worry. We could do dramatic kind of voice
Okay.
acting. We could break the strike, basically, do some acting.
They crashed the site, by the way.
What? Oh, they crashed the site?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Because they've been clicking on it too much.
Well, that's good because my editor will be happy with that.
Yeah.
It'll be proof that people are reading it.
It's great that you guys don't have the
Okay.
infrastructure.
Well,
for,
you know, this is a good problem to have. It means I get to say to Bosker, hey, actually, our readership we need stronger website because
Yeah.
some of us have a big audience here. So Stevie was talking to me outside of Netflix on Monday on the picket line. She's in SAG. She used to host this television show on Nickelodeon, and so it ran for 3 seasons. So there's 60 episodes worth of footage of her hosting a show. And we were talking about this because she said this thing to me about artificial intelligence, which is one of the big things, not just actors, but all sorts of SAG members are concerned about. So voiceover artists, background actors, all sorts of people are afraid that AI tools can be used to sort of train on images of them, use scans, and then basically just create digital versions, digital avatars of them. At that point, then they wouldn't need the real actors, right? And those actors wouldn't be getting compensated. So this is one of the big kind of points of disagreement between the studios and SAG-AFTRA. And so Stevie has this quote where she says to me, "There's enough footage of me that they could technically have me host other shows for the rest of my life without ever having done it, and I'm sure I would not be fairly compensated for it. The idea of a not a real person hosting shows is scary. The magic of acting and of hosting is its impromptu nature. I can't imagine how soulless it would be to replace it with AI." So she's literally imagining a digital version of herself just living in the internet in a digital warehouse, saying stuff she's never said, doing stuff she's never done, but indistinguishable from the real Stevie Nelson. And so that is... It might sound like a Black Mirror episode, is what I say in the piece. But it is really
it's not that
point of dispute at the table.
Wait. That is literally a Black Mirror episode. Oh my God, you're such a you're so ridiculous. Your knowledge of pop culture. You read too much. Read too many fucking books. You need to watch some television.
Oh no.
Oh, it sounds like a Black Mirror episode. It literally was in the last season that just came out, where there is unironically a Black Mirror episode that is directly tailored around this specific thing. See?
Hosting a show?
No, it's
But what is the everyone can? I'm
going to show you. What's the name of the episode, chat? Are you leaving, Austin?
Yeah, I'll come back later.
Okay.
See ya.
See you later.
I'll be around. I'm finally done working.
Oh yeah, Joanne is awful.
See, this is great that I'm on on your stream.
Yeah,
now
but you
should
should
tell me what a TV show.
But you should have consulted me before you wrote the article, so I could have helped you. Okay.
You're really busy. I'm really busy.
I'm just saying, I clearly have a lot of. I'm a fountain of knowledge and information.
Hey, I wanted to get you on a picket line while I was here.
Are you leaving?
Probably.
Oh, I didn't
we haven't
even
talked about this.
I thought, yeah, we don't really talk at all. I just see her in passing, and I'm like, oh, what's up? You want to come on? She's like, fuck no. And then she's like, I'm having all my friends over. We're gonna have a tea party.
You want to hang out tonight? I got plans. You want to come to a show?
What do you? No, I want to go watch Barbie.
Okay, well.
What do you? What show? What do you? Don't leak it.
I shouldn't say.
Okay, never mind. Don't say it.
I'll tell you later.
Yeah, I want to go watch Barbie, not Barbenheimer, just Barbie. Anyway.
Okay, fine. So that's great. So we've already got one thing I have to fix, which is that I should say it really is a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, no. The first episode of the season, Joan is Awful, takes its trend towards automation within the entertainment industry in particular, where it's basically a generative AI that has taken the likeness of an average person who signed a contract on a streaming service to watch the streaming service. So they steal her likeness and her entire life, and then they basically make a television show out of it, like an automated television show out of it, and it shows all the awful things that she's done. It's kind of like a Truman Show situation.
Right.
But then her likeness is being portrayed by another, celebrated, cherished artist, which is, I forget her name now. What is it? Salma Hayek. Mm-hmm. So Salma Hayek is playing her in the show, and Salma Hayek has also signed on with a contract where she basically gave the AI likeness of herself to Netflix.
Okay.
And she becomes frustrated because then Joanne starts doing crazy stuff to make Salma Hayek look bad, like taking a shit at a wedding in a church. So then they get together and they fight against Netflix to stop this from happening. So it's more of multiple layers. It's it has a multiverse turn at the end of it. But the point is, it's ironic that they wrote this, they published it on Netflix as one of their signature shows, while they're simultaneously working behind the scenes to do that.
Right.
To do that exact same thing. Mm-hmm. So that is a real. You fucked up. But it's
So,
fine.
so I regret coming on this stream. I'm gonna leave now. This has been a humiliating process.
Okay.
No, so that was one of the first issues, right? So the AI stuff.
Uh-huh.
And just to put a fine point on it, the SAG-AFTRA's proposal is that the studios need to get informed consent from the performers before using their likeness, that they're compensated for it, that they're aware of what their digital avatar is doing and being used for. The studios, at least according to the union, countered by basically saying, actually, what we propose is that we'll give background actors like 1 day's worth of pay for the hours it takes us to scan them.
Fair.
And
What's
get
the
their-
problem with that?
And then we have their likeness forever for the rest of their lives.
I don't understand.
So if you scroll down, because I want to quote from another one of, let's see, keep scrolling down. If you want to read, you're welcome.
Well, I want to read this part. It
Sure.
says, in this groundbreaking AI proposal
He's being sarcastic here. This is
Yeah.
the union's chief
that
negotiator.
they gave us yesterday, they propose that our background performers should be able to get scanned, get 1 day's pay, and their company should own that scan, their image, their likeness, and should be able to use it for the rest of eternity on any project they want with no consent and no compensation. Wouldn't that be wonderful if that background actor then became very famous? Because that's how
Yes.
usually Hollywood works. So then you just don't need actual Brad Pitt. You just have
Exactly.
background actor Brad Pitt. So
Right.
once he gets to a certain level, the studio could just kick in the AI version and be like, shut the fuck up, bitch. You signed a contract when you were a background actor.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, that people have said exactly that on the picket lines, and also, IATSE, which is the below the line film workers, they are the grips, the camera operators, the electricians, hair and makeup, costume. They also are threatened by this, right? Their contract expires next year, and so they're going to be having the same fight then. Because, if they're not using as many real actors and real performers on a show, they certainly don't need as many costumes and hair and makeup. So this is threatening an entire segment of the industry's workforce.
Is also 100% goes back to what you and I have talked about on this broadcast already about VFX, a significantly non-unionized proportion of the entire production that is being utilized more and more in this industry, specifically so they can offset a lot of the cost, because you can do VFX if you are in Korea. You can do VFX if you're in the Philippines. You can do it anywhere globally. So even if the American visual effects people unionize, they could just take it overseas somewhere else.
Yes.
In a way that you could not do with physical actors and physical sets and practical effects that you need to utilize.
Yeah, they definitely try to offshore all sorts of parts of a production, but VFX has been, sort of the key, that they're just having these lower paid VFX workers in other countries. And there's very little thus far that workers have been able to figure out to stop this. So the thing I was thinking of is, yes, now it's up on the screen here, is the next actor quoted in the piece is this woman, Kate Comer. I also met outside of the Netflix picket line on Monday. She's been, had small parts in just about everything. The Office, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, The Reboot, The Dropout. She is very much a working middle-class actor in Hollywood. And the concept she sort of referenced when we were talking about AI was, see, here's a show I have seen, Succession. And
Of course, nerd.
all right. And the family, the Roys, their company, they use the term not a real person to refer to the working class people who work at the company, who either,
That's
there's-
how I refer to everybody.
that's how you refer to me in the house,
Yeah.
which I think is a little rude, but that's okay. And so when there's an incident where one of the guys hurts or kills, right? He kills a waiter. They refer to this as not a real person, right? These are not wealthy, famous people.
Yeah.
And both Stevie and Kate use this phrase, not a real person, to talk about how they were thinking about the use of AI. Kate said to me, the thought of not having control over yourself and allowing other people to do whatever they want with you and your voice is terrifying. We just want regulations. We just want to have power over our own bodies. So this is like very familiar for a lot of types of workers. It is not just actors who are concerned with bodily autonomy and respect, but it is sort of this extreme dystopian version that actors are dealing with right now. Of course, the writers too want regulations on AI. It's worth mentioning, but that's more of a future threat. Whereas for the actors, it's very visceral. Like they are speaking about themselves and what they might see themselves or a version of them doing in the future.
Yeah. I mean, this is already in a much smaller and less significant way. This kind of happened with NFTs for Twitch streamers already, where like NFTs is just like the Wild West. It's a fucking scam from the jump, and I hated it. But there were a metric ton of NFT companies that were basically like crafting the likeness of streamers or without any permission whatsoever, or literally taking like viral clippable moments from streams and trying to repackage it in the form of NFTs back to like the fan base of streamers. It was insane. No one had consented to it. And then you also have the deep fake stuff that happened as well.
Right.
It's just like there are so many components. Like we all basically experience similar things in the entertainment industry. It's just that it's, I think, a much worse problem when it's these multi-billion-dollar corporations that are doing it because they can do it without. They can do it and make it legal to do it. You know what I mean? In a way that like some random dude who's like crypto mining, he's not going to be able to get away with it for too long.
Right. I mean, also like, you know, Fran Drescher said at the press conference announcing the strike last Friday, something along the lines, not just talking about AI, but all of these issues. She said, you know, if I'm paraphrasing, but she was like, if they can get away with it with us, if we agree to this sort of thing, imagine what's going to happen to you and your family and your coworkers who are less famous, have less money, are not union. And so she was, you know, doing something that everyone on the picket lines has been doing, which is saying, we're just one part of the labor pool. This is not just celebrities. This is not a particular industry that has nothing in common with others. We are just experiencing something that UPS workers are experiencing, you know, labor-saving technology that threatens working conditions, harassment, part-time gigification. These are all things that workers across the board are dealing with.
I also like, I would love to talk about this aspect of it. On wages, SAG-AFTRA has proposed an 11% raise in the first year of the contract to catch up after years of inflation. Thank you, Brandon. Joe Brandon. The studios countered with a 5% per year, which would amount to a pay cut. Now, this, I think, dovetails perfectly into what you were saying about the average experience of the average fucking worker, because every single person in this chat that actually works a regular job has seen exactly the same thing. At the end of the year, you get like a marginal increase in your salary, and then you look back and the cost of living has shot up. So you didn't actually get an increase in your salary. They decreased your fucking salary. I've seen it happen to all of my friends and family members who work in regular jobs, in regular sectors where they're wage laborers. It is fucking ridiculous. Now, why is it that you and these actors have the exact same concerns? Well, it's because they are wage laborers in a similar way that you are, and their relationship with their bosses is nearly identical to how your relationship is with your bosses.
That's right. Preach, Hassan. Get out on those picket lines.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the next thing, I feel like we can't go through everything because it's going to take so long. But I think, you know, the other important thing to sort of explain to people is the residuals issue, which is so complicated. But, you know, people probably at this point are familiar with what residuals are. They're like a royalty payment anytime a show gets syndicated or reruns, you know, on cable and networks. An actor and a writer would get a residual check, right? They would get some amount of the share of the profits. Now, on streaming, that is not the case, right? Streamers rarely are licensing and selling their shows. I spoke to, when Kate Comer, the actress, was speaking with me, she used an example of her own from her own life to sort of illustrate this. So when she was on The Dropout, which, you know, won an Emmy, she got the highest tier of residuals. There are 5 tiers. And had the show aired on network television, she would have gotten $3,664 for the first rerun, with continued payments with each subsequent airing. But because it ran on Hulu, on a streaming platform, she told me she instead received about half of that amount, $1,863. And in exchange, Hulu made it available unlimited basis for a year, right? And so she's not getting another check when there's another rerun or a syndication, because there is no such thing on a streamer, right? You subscribe and you have access. And so this is very significant. You know, there have been stories going around of, you know, I mentioned them, I think later in the piece, that there was one actor who had like a lead role on a popular show. She I think tweeted or put on Instagram a residual check she got for 1 cent. And people are like, how is this possible?
Yeah, it's literally more expensive to print out that check and send it than the actual check itself, which is so incredibly strange.
Right.
Really quick, I gotta run the top of the hour ad break and also give a shout out to Brebo236 for the 50 gifted subs. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Anyway, back to the story. So, as far as residuals goes, you're right. It is very complicated because they do not have the same like ad revenue backed incentive structure, ad revenue backed revenue structure that earlier forms of entertainment had. So I don't know how to even engage in profit sharing in that regard when the revenue that these companies are generating, the profits potentially that they will generate down the line, all come from subscription.
Right.
So, and they all are like every other aspect of Silicon Valley, venture capital backed. They suffer tremendously when there is an increase in interest rates because there's no steady flow of cash. And just like every other Silicon Valley corporation, their goal is to ultimately monopolize a certain sector, and that's what their market cap reflects. Like who is closer to monopolizing the streaming space, which of course having a shit ton of competition in that sphere currently makes that much harder, and therefore makes it harder for them to become profitable, as a matter of fact.
Right.
But as far as profit sharing goes, like I said, I don't know what the best way forward is. I just know that they are raking in a ton of fucking profits.
Yeah.
They're raking a ton. They're generating a ton of revenue, and not necessarily sharing it, especially when you think about a company like Netflix that also has a negative incentive. Not only do they not want to share more revenue, just like every other company like Hulu, Paramount, whatever, but they also don't want to reveal their numbers internally.
Yeah, they won't share those numbers, right? And so it's very hard for actors to have a sense of how popular their show is, much less creators. You know, I spoke to people who created television shows that have no idea how many people have watched their shows, right? They don't even know. And so you're walking around having some days you'll feel like everyone has seen the show. Other days you're like, what if they're lying to me and they're so embarrassed that they'll never tell me or anyone else?
Yeah.
And actually I'm a failure. And I just have no idea, right? Which is very difficult for a creative person who spent years on a project.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy that they don't have the numbers. I just want to say,
and they have the capacity to make it or break it too. Like they can just push your show to the front, and like when you get front placement on Netflix, that's massive. That's like they know what show is gonna bang, and they will often float that show in the front page for a little bit, maybe massage the numbers, make it trend a little bit, and play favorites. And that in and of itself, like I'll tell you like this, as an avid Netflix and pop culture consumer, I see a big push from Netflix specifically, and it might be my own personal algorithm, but in the success of Squid Games, I have seen a big push from Netflix on Korean cinema, K-dramas, and I do think that this is deliberately done because they want to leverage against potential strikes like the one that's happening, so they can tap into the Korean market because they've already served some
and it's
Korean
cheaper labor.
Yeah, they've already served Korean IP to the American audience, and once they get American audiences used to Korean content, then they can just keep serving that at a much cheaper price when there is labor disputes going on.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read a short paragraph I wrote, and then I want to quote Adam Conover about this sort of bigger question about like the profitability and the model. So here's what I wrote. The streaming model may well be unsustainable. Studios tried to imitate Netflix, but that company's 10-year head start meant Netflix ate their lunch, building a subscription model off the backs of their old shows, which it bought for cheap. It was the easy money era, and Wall Street plied the studios with cash, helping them build faulty platforms. Shows proliferated, their numbers nearly doubling in a decade. Now, shareholders are demanding profits rather than subscriber growth, and the studios are responding to the pressure by squeezing labor. But workers, particularly ones as well organized as those in the film and television industry, can only be pushed so far before they fight back. To expect otherwise is unrealistic, if even downright delusional. I feel like this sort of sums up what's going on here in this moment. And, Adam, said something along the same lines to me. He said they chased Netflix, but Netflix lied to the public about what was possible. Netflix said for $15 a month, you can cancel your TV subscription and have every show ever made forever with no ads. That was a lie. We know now that they can't build a business that way, but all the other companies chased it, and it destroyed a very successful industry that people loved.
This is such a fundamentally important part of this piece, and I guess it goes to, like, I don't know if you saw this piece of discourse on Twitter, the banana discourse.
A little. Thank God I've been too busy writing.
Yeah, same.
This.
I missed it entirely, but like, I think unlike the banana discourse, this is a situation where like there already was a model that worked. At least was like more equitable. I can't believe we're looking at linear television as like the more equitable situation because of like how tech bros have also eviscerated equity in yet another fucking field with their disruptive technology. But if you can't make a profitable company, okay, while simultaneously pumping new content, then guess what? Sucks to fucking suck. You don't need to have Netflix,
right?
Okay? Like, content will still exist. Movies will still be made. Television shows will still be made. Streamers will still exist. They will find a new way to generate revenue in a way that is more just, in a way that is more equitable. It is so fucking insane to me that like we act like Netflix has to exist. This will like ruin our lives if Netflix didn't exist the way it did. It doesn't matter. Something else will replace it that could be a better revenue structure for everyone involved, and it should.
Right. I mean, the bottom line is like, look, these people, Kate, the actor, was said to me, she loves streaming too. She loves the show. She loves that the writing workforce in Hollywood has become more diverse, but it is just not sustainable. It's not a question of if it is. The fact that both the actors and writers are on strike is proof that it is not sustainable. This is a business. It has to pay the people who make the work. And I just want to, the last kind of main person I want to talk about a little bit on this same topic too is Mike Schur. So Mike Schur is a member of the WGA's negotiating committee, as is Adam Conover, who we mentioned. Mike also, he created The Good Place. He co-created Parks and Rec, as well as Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He started out as an SNL writer, and then he went and worked on The Office. That was his first kind of longer-form scripted television show. And I met him outside of the Paramount Studios picket on Tuesday. And we had a very good conversation that I really, I quote him at length. I really recommend you read the piece, that you get that far into the piece. But Mike, because he's been in this industry for decades, I think has really good insight into sort of this, what is happening, what has changed, what are the downsides, right? And, to start, he said, like, look, I've been in the union for decades. This is the first time I've been on the negotiating committee. And the reason I got involved is that if I were starting out now, I would never have a career. Everything that, all the opportunities he got, the incredible success he has enjoyed is because of the old model, right? So he explained to me that when he joined The Office, right, Craig Daniels was his boss, the creator and adapter of that show. And Craig made a real point to make sure that he walked Mike, Mindy Kaling, and BJ Novak, who had very little long-form writing experience at the time, through the entire process of television writing. And he says, I'll just read the sort of quote at length here. Writing is a complete misnomer for this job, he told me. This is where the companies are completely missing the mark and are ignorant of what it takes to make television. The job is not sitting at a computer, clickety-clack. That's 10% of the job. And then he explained to me everything else that Craig taught him. Right, so I won't go through this entire paragraph, but he's...
No, it's good to know. There's
okay.
brainstorming, rewriting, or realizing that a script sucks, throwing it away, starting over. I mean, I used to... I mean, you write.
Yes.
You understand it.
But
like,
television writing is particularly collaborative, I think. Like, that is something...
that
there's
too,
something
for sure.
That's different than, like, what I was doing, though. I would say reporting is also very collaborative. You know, there's a reason I like talking to people instead of just sitting at my computer.
Back when I was writing, or even now when I utilize, like, some level of writing when I'm crafting a narrative or something that I'm about to talk about, I think that the real world experiences that I have where I even like go outside and fucking smell something, I think that contributes to what your writing is going to look like.
Yeah.
It is infinitely different to just like sit in front of a computer and write about concepts that you are, very well tapped into, or even like Zoom meetings or Discord calls that you might have with people that are knowledgeable, than to actually go down there. We experienced this personally. I've been covering, labor action for a very long time now, but there is nothing better than actually going to the picket line and showing you the collaborative nature of how like different unions work alongside one another in order to shut down a production. Seeing that is very different than just experiencing it. And I think that is a big part of the writing side as well that people just take for granted.
Yeah. And I was looking at the chat's comments, and so they want the in-depth stuff. So I'll just read the rest of that paragraph. So when I asked what the other 90% consists of the job of television writing, he offered a crash course in the profession. There's brainstorming and rewriting, or realizing that a script sucks and throwing it away and starting over. There's bringing the script to set and working with the actors and director. There's getting to know the set decorators and art decorators and production designers and electricians and grips and teamsters, figuring out what they do and how they do it. There's knowing when to delegate and when to take responsibility. Then there's the process of getting notes from studios, from networks, and knowing when to pick your battles. All of that requires mentorship. Daniels walked Schur and Kaling and Novak through the job, and it allowed them to go on to become showrunners and in turn teach more people how to do it, who then went on to do the same, passing the knowledge through the generations. The mini room model, which I spoke to a writer before this bit about Mike Schur, who worked in mini rooms, a young writer, right? So shorter term contracts, not on the set at all, basically just doing the part where you sit at a computer and you churn out scripts. So I said, the mini room model makes all of that impossible. If studios no longer budget to have young writers like Alter on set, those writers will never see what it means to take words on a page and translate them into a television or film scene. The thing that drives me nuts, this is a quote from Mike, is that the system has worked incredibly well for 75 years and has made these companies tens, if not hundreds, of billions of dollars of pure, unadulterated profit because they have a free training system. When the studios say, you don't need this many writers, the writers don't have to be on the set, the writers don't have to be in post-production, they're completely and ignorantly missing the whole point of how this machine has worked. It's Jerry Maguire. Help me help you. We're saying to these companies, do you not understand what happens to this machine if the writing is walled off from all the other aspects of production? Either they don't understand it or they don't care. And either one of those scenarios is too horrifying to contemplate.
Yet again, identical circumstances, even if it's not about writing, even if you're not in the creative profession, you have the exact same gripes with your bosses, right? They don't understand it. 90% of them never touch the production aspect ever. They have no fucking knowledge over it. They're not paid to know. They don't even want to know. They don't want to humanize you for the most part, so they can just see you as numbers on a fucking board. All they care about is squeezing more profit. They want to fucking squeeze the remaining wetness out of their stone in order to generate more shareholder value, which then ends up making the product fucking worse.
Yes. I mean, it's like there's a quote from that woman, Rachel, the younger writer, where she's like, this is art. They are ruining the art. You can't work as a gig worker and try to produce a great television show. That's just not going to happen. I'm going to close, there's a whole section as well about the UPS rally that Sean O'Brien, the Teamsters president, was at. And so I encourage people to read all of it. But I just want to close on this question of the executives. Mike said to me, I use it as the final 2 paragraphs of the article. I'll just read the 2 paragraphs. There used to be people running these companies who thought of themselves as stewards of the industry, said the WGA, reflecting on what led to the strikes. They'd think, I'm sitting in the chair that Jack Warner sat in, and I have a responsibility to the history. Now these guys are tech bros from Cupertino. They're not people who care about Hollywood qua Hollywood. They are people who think that this is an industry with inefficiencies, and if they can eliminate those inefficiencies, they can suck out a bunch of money and then sell and move on in the same way they have with other industries. Hollywood is very good at creating monsters, and people in positions of power very frequently turn out to be monsters. But the one thing those monsters had going for them was that they gave a shit about Hollywood, he continued. I don't think that's the case right now. No one's running the town. You used to be able to say, who are the 5 people that run Hollywood? Everyone could reel off those names. But now, no one is running Hollywood.
It's not Ari Emanuel?
He wishes, but there wouldn't be a double strike if it was. So I encourage everyone to read it. I think I'm very lucky that I got so many great people to speak to me. And I mean, it's crazy to be here and see a town that really relies on
Would
this
you do
industry.
that, by the way?
What is the questions here?
If I had her on
Wait, talk to her?
before you leave, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I am meant to interview her for a piece sometime this coming week, but I'm happy to.
Badass.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Zach
Sure.
Be a King of the Night runs Hollywood. Come on, chat. Like, dude, I don't want to give Alex brain cancer. Okay.
See, I don't know what that.
It's just don't worry. Don't
Thank God.
fucking. Oh my God, he's a bloodsucker, fame fucker.
I see.
He's a vampire, according to Olivia Rodrigo. Okay.
Okay.
We gave Jacobin the hug of death. Yeah, I know. You guys bricked the website.
It's well, I've been on my phone. I was texting my editor saying, I think we crashed the site. Sorry.
Yeah. UPS is trying to make its tech workers work in the warehouses. No offense to tech workers, but if UPS is recruiting their coders to scab as warehouse workers, you know they must be desperate. My company's union is about to go on strike, and I'm being sent 3 states away to work in a shipping warehouse. That's so awesome. I love when companies try to do that.
It's amazing.
It's so funny. It's like front office motherfuckers coming in to do like logistics. Like, good luck. It's really devastating because it actually harms. One, it ruins the production.
Yes.
Every single time. Like every single time. But it also ends up harming the people that you're like kind of using because they're not unionized.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember. I know you talked to Jonah Furman a lot in the past. Who was a great labor reporter for Labor Notes, and now is the head of comms for the United Auto Workers. So he's not writing anymore, but he has not stopped doing what he's great at. But he covered the John Deere strike really in depth, and they had tried to get the white collar workers to like build the machinery and stuff, and they were it was like a disaster of like crashes and other kind of like mishaps. And then a lot of the white collar workers then started leaking to Jonah and otherwise supporting the workers who were on strike because they're like, because
they're in a shitty situation because like they don't want to lose their job. They have no protection that the union offers you in a situation like this, right? So they're just kind of like, well, I don't know. I don't want to fucking use this heavy machinery that I'm not equipped to use.
Yeah.
It's always dangerous. This will absolutely break people's backs. Like, this is so stupid. If you're UPS, they tried doing the same thing to me. Just say no. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens with UPS. But it does seem like UPS is getting desperate, and they went back to the negotiation table recently.
Yeah, I would say so. Also, I saw that this tweet we're looking at is from Elliot Lewis, who is a great UPS driver and organizer in my local in New York, local 804. So just wanted to shout out Elliot, who is there every single day doing the organizing stuff.
Shit.
Yeah. So wait, what was Lindsay wants to come on when? Was she thinking?
Well, I haven't I stopped DMing her like a while ago, and then I just realized like maybe it'd be cool to have both of you guys on at the same time so that it would be a more productive conversation. Because
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to her.
You would direct it in a way I think that is more productive.
If you want to like go back to whatever, something else, and just text me if she wants to hop on. I'm just gonna be at the house. I promise.
No, I know. I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't be today.
Oh, okay.
Is what I'm
Got it,
saying.
got
But
it.
I don't know when
Cool.
you're leaving. So
I don't know when I'm leaving either. This is the thing I have to figure out next.
Yeah.
Maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. Soon, I promise.
Yeah.
All right. So I feel like I've talked enough. I, after a very long morning, want to chill and relax. So thanks for having me on again, Hassan.
Not Lindsay Lohan, you fucking weirdos. Lindsay Doherty,
Yeah, me and Lindsay Lohan.
who's the head of Teamsters Hollywood.
Yeah.
How did you manage to have 3 house guests named Alex in a row? That's true. The 2 commie Aussies that were here were also named Alex and Alexa.
Oh, wow.
That were staying here for a month before you.
They're staying here for a month.
Yeah.
Wow. So I could do that. Good to know.
I have a very open door policy to my friends that are doing good work, you know?
That's very nice of you, Hassan.
What else am I going to do with this house?
Yeah. All right. Good talking to you. Good talking to you, chat. Just let me know as far as Lindsay. I'll be by the pool.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone. Please read the article. Please post it. I'm on social media, etc. Bye.
Want to take her out to pee? Thank you. Her leash is over there, I think, by the door somewhere. My one policy: if you're gonna stay here, you might need to take care of Kaya a little bit. You know, offer her friendship. She's pretty low maintenance. I mean, she gets a little crazy from time to time, but yeah, she can pee in the backyard. She can pee in the front. That. Okay. You ever consider doing a live streaming tour, kind of like Podcast Do, but for streaming instead? No, but also at the same time, it's that's Austin wants it real bad.
Our members,
Let's listen to our boy Sean here.
yeah, our members work very hard. They work a lot of hours. UPS has a rhetoric saying that the full timers make $93,000 per year, but that's not their base pay. They're working 60, 65 hours per week, getting forced in on their days off. And the part timers, 100,000 part timers throughout UPS make less than $20 per hour. And these are the unsung heroes. These are the folks that load the packages, unload the packages on the trucks so that we can provide goods and services to this country. Through the pandemic, our members were forced to work in awful conditions with no regard for their own health and safety. We lost members who died. All the while, UPS's profits doubled. They made $100 billion last year. They rewarded their stockholders 50% increase in their dividends, and they have lucrative bonuses for CEOs and executives. All the while, none of those folks ever touched a package or helped provide any goods and services to this country. Our members need to be rewarded.
You're touching on what I keep hearing from union leaders. I was talking to Fran Drescher the other day, and she was decrying the amount of money that the studio heads were making compared to what the average actor was making. And
He's so sick. I love cop-coded union leaders, dude.
This is the same thing you're saying here. Look at what these CEOs are making compared to what the average workers are making. What specifically do you want from UPS? How much more money, break time, et cetera? What is it?
It comes down to economics. We solved 95% of the non-economic issues on behalf of our members. Now it's strictly down to money. We tried to get the deal done July 5th. 4:15 a.m. UPS walked out and said they have no more money to give. So it's all about economics right now. The company, we have been putting pressure on the company publicly, doing informational picketing, practice picketing. And so they called us on Wednesday and asked if we could meet next week to try and get a deal.
How do you feel watching the steady momentum of union organize happening? I know you like it, obviously, but the feeling of actually seeing this come to fruition must feel validating. I mean, it makes me happy, but it also, in some ways, is kind of sad because strikes are difficult. And strikes only happen as a consequence of capital owners refusing to make an honest effort at the negotiations process. So I don't think it's it makes me excited to see it, but it's certainly a weird situation, because I do also find it like really shitty that it has to get to this point. You know what I mean? Like, no one, that's something you guys have to remember. Like, yeah, a lot of you guys who are not in unions or not striking probably look to that and go, oh, strikes, pog, sick. But like, no one really wants to strike. It's a last resort, because, you know, the uncertainty is terrifying. You know what I mean? Like, you're not making the same pay. Like, there's a lot of issues there. It sucks financially. It's not great. It's hardship. So, and then there are additional tertiary industries that are impacted by this as well. So, not great. Strike funds exist because it's financial hardship. Exactly.
Who is helping us organize Amazon.
That's Lindsay back there, the head of Teamsters Hollywood.
Amazon, right? And the Amazon workers right here, right? So we have one. And I want to recognize Sean Martin.
I'm down for the union, but the stress of financial stability during the strike, especially with a newborn, is scary. Yeah, I know. I just always remember it's not happening because of the union. It's happening because the bosses refuse to negotiate in good faith. That's the issue. You know what I mean? But in a way, I mean, it is definitely inspirational. I do find it to be inspiring. It's probably the only aspect of American existence right now, and American politics, that is genuinely making a difference. So that is good. You know? And I do hope that people see this momentum and then move to create that same mechanism of power in their own workplaces. So my hope is that people see this and they feel inspired to go and unionize themselves.
Look around. Okay, across the street, we have a delivery truck carrying food
Here
to
it is.
offices, construction sites all around.
This is from More Perfect Union. They are covering, I used to make 100K as a trucker. Now I make minimum wage.
Sheetrock, where'd he come from? On a truck. Nothing moves.
I'll be
without
back.
us. Many owner-operators now are homeless. They cannot afford to have a home. This is my home. I live with my truck, whether I stay in a hotel or I sleep sitting up in the driver's seat. This is my home. Why? I work 12 to 14 plus hours a day, but I don't earn enough.
This is Billy Randall. He's been a long-haul trucker for over 30 years. We're working on a new series now about jobs in America that used to be stable and middle class and are all but gone. One of the most dramatic shifts from good job to bad job is in the trucking industry. Trucking used to be one of the most coveted blue-collar jobs in America. The average trucker made $110,000 a year. That's enough to raise a family and have a home. Now many of them, like Billy, are barely making minimum wage.
We're tired of being the back of the economy because our backs are broken.
We're going to unpack exactly what happened through the stories of two truckers that are struggling. One who's been a driver for decades and one who's trying to make a life for himself in the industry. This is The Classroom for More Perfect Union, and today we're looking at why truckers can't make a living.
All hours worked, all hours paid.
I met Billy at a rally in DC with the Truckers Movement for Justice. Billy's a little bit of a wild man. He's currently trying to lead strikes in the coal mines of West Virginia and the oil fields of Texas, and I think he might pull it off. Billy has a vision that truckers would be organized again after 40 years of not having power. Let's go back a little bit. This might be what you think of when you think of a trucker. An outlaw, a guy on the road with nothing to lose. But in reality, a lot of them lived pretty regular lives and went home to their families every night.
It was a hard, dirty job, but it was a good job.
The truckers I met in Washington all had the same complaints.
A breakdown, honestly, it'll put me out of bed.
I don't want to lose my company, I don't want to lose my trucks, I don't want to lose my home.
The pay is low, the cost of doing business is high. Let's get back to Billy. Like 350,000 other drivers in America, Billy is an owner-operator, meaning he owns his own truck. It also means he's responsible for the overhead, repairs, insurance, maintenance. And if something goes wrong, it can cost him.
Today the truck broke down. A very minor repair, but nonetheless, it created a problem with the delivery. I've got, not to publicize this, $1,200 to my name.
Truckers like to say if you bought it, a truck brought it. Truckers take great pride in that work, but that work can often be pretty tough for them.
This is Steve Vaselli, a former truck driver who's been studying the industry for over a decade. Steve says one of the main causes of wage decreases was deregulation. Before the 1930s, trucking was unregulated and stuck in boom and bust cycles. The economy would be strong and things would be moving in trucks, and then suddenly there would be a downturn and truckers were out of work. Trucking is so crucial to the economy that in 1935, the federal government started heavily regulating the industry by setting shipping.
I don't understand. I thought that deregulation was good. What are these guys talking about? I'm a big fan of deregulation. That's right. These truckers don't know what they're talking about. Deregulation? Well, what about the GDP? That's right. And no, I'm not talking about the goddamn proletariat. I'm talking about the GDP, folks. Domestic product. Very good. The freer the market, the freer the people.
Prices and limits on how many trucks could be on the road.
The federal government essentially set the rates for trucks. If you were going to move steel from Youngstown to New York,
line goes up.
You would go to something called the Interstate
Everyone's
Commerce
happy.
Commission, and you would say to them, hey, my costs to move this steel are $1 a mile. And the Interstate Commerce Commission would say, well, okay, then you can charge $1.06 per mile to your customers, whether it's U.S. Steel or a mom and pop machine shop that needs to move it.
Freight was moved from terminal to terminal, where local deliveries would combine smaller loads together and send them to the next terminal through long-haul truckers.
What that meant for drivers was a lot of them were home every night and they had regular schedules. It also meant that those terminals were easier to unionize.
The whole industry was unionized and regulated under the National Master Freight Agreement, negotiated by the Teamsters, which was one of the most powerful unions in the United States. That all ended when Jimmy Carter signed the Motor Carrier Act of 1980 in an effort to lower prices for consumers. This was a bipartisan effort.
You probably don't think of truckers as timid people, but that's because you haven't seen how some of them react when you say competition.
Republicans, Democrats, and industry were all involved. And in a way, deregulation worked. Prices went down for consumers and rates went down for shippers. And it opened up competition so that the larger stores, think Walmart, Kmart, Costco, could haggle for lower prices. Remember that under regulation, the government set shipping prices for all stores, big and small. So deregulation brought us the world of cheap shipping that we live in now.
What that meant for truck drivers was a lot of really bad jobs.
Thousands of smaller trucking companies went out of business in the 1980s, and something else changed that made the job harder: freight started moving point to point, from the shipper's location all the way to the customer.
For drivers, that means that, they're living out of the truck. They're essentially working 24 hours a day, and they can't know exactly when they're going to be home.
And the thing is, truckers don't make overtime. That's right. Truckers are one of the few workers that are exempt from overtime in our labor laws. So a trucker can be working 100 hours a week and not make close to minimum wage. All of these changes have created a labor crisis. The turnover rate at most companies is now well over 100%. That's why every year the American Trucking Association claims there's a...
They can't. Guess what? Some of these distances are long. Some of these distances are vast. You do not understand it. If they ask for overtime, what would that do to our profits? How is that physically possible? It's called methamphetamine. It's called narcolepsy medication. Literally, which, by the way, is incredibly dangerous, not just for the driver and his health or her health, but also for other drivers on the fucking road, which is why accidents happen all the fucking time.
Driver shortage.
80,000 drivers short amid the supply chain crisis.
This historic trucker shortage again.
And in less than a decade, it's projected to get even worse.
Billy is 71 years old, and the average driver is 48 years old. The industry needs younger drivers to enter the business and stay, like Caleb Fernandez. Unlike Billy, he's a company driver, and he's paid by the mile. He also uses the company's truck. While Caleb doesn't have the same expenses as Billy, he has to worry about something else: surveillance.
The biggest problem solving that I do in my day is working so that I can be legal in the regulations.
In 2017, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration introduced electronic logging devices.
So I've got 6 hours left that I can work until tomorrow.
These logs are meant to keep the drivers from working too long and to make sure they take breaks. But what it really does is mess with trucker autonomy.
It tracks my location and knows if I've been moving the truck around, so I can't lie and say that I've been driving less hours than I have been. So it lets you know on the e-log if you're doing something illegal. It'll warn you, hey, wait a minute.
Drivers start the clock and have 14 hours to work before they have to take a 10-hour rest. During that shift, they can only drive for 11 hours and take 3 hours for stops or deliveries. The problem is, they might get stuck waiting on a load, or they might break down, or they might need to take a long nap, but the clock keeps running.
A lot of shippers and receivers will be unreliable in terms of their appointment times. And so then that can ruin my hours of service. It can also ruin my next pickup or drop. It can be pretty stressful as well.
And because a lot of drivers like Caleb are paid by the mile, they want to keep moving.
It forces drivers to drive in dangerous conditions and when they're tired.
Truckers have been keeping logs for decades, but before they were paper logs. And the fact is, those were easier to fake. And look, we're not advocating for cheating. These safety regulations are really important. No one wants drivers on the road that have been working for too long or who are tired. The problem is these e-logs are really restrictive, and drivers can't make their own schedule. The laws as they're written are really hard to follow. And besides...
You'd be like, well, do they not make accommodations for time blindness? I don't understand.
E-logs aren't actually making the road safer. A 2019 study showed that since the e-logs were introduced, accidents didn't go down. They stayed about the same. But something else went up. Drivers were speeding more to make up for the lost time on the road.
We've put them in this, trade-off between, their paycheck and safety, unfortunately.
Billy thinks that one way to encourage safe driving is to increase pay. Then drivers aren't as worried about racing for the next load and the next paycheck.
This guy looks cool as fuck,
We
by
want
the
to be
way.
paid all hours.
I know he was in the
worked,
beginning,
all
I forgot
hours
to
paid.
mention.
We're sitting loading and unloading for more than 30 minutes at a given facility. We want to be paid for it.
Billy and Caleb both love what they do.
Oh yeah, this is a
and
huge
wanna
point of
stay in the
contention for
industry.
truckers.
We started this video looking at why trucking used to be a good job and why it isn't anymore. Deregulation made a lot of products cheap, really cheap, but at a serious cost to workers. Like Billy said, nothing moves in this country without truckers, and they should get paid for all the time they're working. There's a bill right...
Here's the part that's also not correct entirely. Deregulation didn't just make products cheap. Products also were made cheap while profits skyrocketed. So you can still make products that are, cost effective, not as costly to the consumer, and not punish your workforce to endlessly try to increase shareholder value. That's the issue. The issue is that, like, you can still make products that are cheap. A lot of it already is cheap because of subsidies. Okay? A lot of these things are already cheap and affordable because of our tax dollars that end up contributing to what is known as subsidies, which is the reason why food is so affordable. Agricultural production is entirely geared around where the government and how the government gives you money to make it, right? So that's how this process works. It could be still affordable, and also the people that are delivering the food to you, the people that are packaging it, the people that are playing a role in taking it out of the fucking ground, if it's vegetables, they could also be paid better, but that would come at a cost for the real earners, the real productive members of society. I'm, of course, referring to the shareholders. Just think about that. The top 10% of wealth in this country own 90% of the entire stock market. Those are the guys who vote. Those are the guys who the American government cares about. Those are the capital owners. That is what this entire economy is geared towards.
Right now, that would change the Fair Labor Standards Act and make truckers eligible for overtime. Second, safety regulations need to give drivers more flexibility. Truckers can track their time and take breaks without such strict oversight. And Billy thinks that ultimately, the job won't get any better unless drivers themselves take action.
Shut up, chat. Food is affordable. The problem is wages have not been adjusted with inflation. I mean, dude, chatters are so funny being like, food is affordable, ? Yeah, motherfucker. In America, food is fucking affordable. In comparison to other countries, what are you, crazy? Yeah, sure, there's like Japan and shit, but yes, food is fucking still affordable in comparison to other places. It's true. Inflation is, unironically, food becoming less affordable, yes, and we know why it has happened.
It wasn't like this when we were organized, and we're the only ones that can change it. Owner-operators and company drivers. When we organize, then things will change.
Thanks for watching The Classroom for more Perfect Union. Like we said,
anyway, especially non-junk food like fruit and vegetables, as long as it's not organic. Anyway, I know inflation is fake because weed has only gotten better and the price hasn't moved or gotten lower. Yeah. Motherfuckers be like, yeah, food is affordable. What do you mean? You're crazy. DoorDash is $150 a day for me. What are you talking about? Anyways, I was stating, though, yes, there are other places where food is cheaper, of course. But ultimately, due to greedflation in the United States of America and corporate consolidation that makes it easy to do greedflation, food has become less affordable. It's called inflation, where the cost of living goes up for items that you need to survive.
Damn, this guy's good.